everybody, thanks for stopping by at Twisted Art Designs. Today I want to show an idea I have for the next page I'm going to do in my Paper Dolls Altered book. As many of you know, if you've watched some of my other videos, I love to upcycle things to put into my journals and my altered books. And one of the things I love to use is clothing. I am going to, on this next page here, I'm going to use an old shirt. It's a man's shirt. It's in a kind of a grayish black and it's got a pocket and I love that. So what I've done is I've cut little slit and torn along this edge, and I'm gonna put this into the book like this. So what I'm doing is measuring, and I wanted my pocket kind of low because I'm gonna put something interesting inside the pocket. So I want the jagged edge along the seam here, just up to it but not in it. And then I cut a slit here and tore this edge, so now I've got it lined up along the bottom. And now I'm going to do the same thing at the top, right here where the seam is at the top. I'm going to cut a little slit and tear it. And I'm choosing to tear it because I love that frayed edge that material makes when you tear it. So right along this edge here, I'm going to just, I've done my measurement and my little spot is right there. So I'm going to just cut about a 1/2 inch in just to get it started like that. And then I'm going to tear it straight across. Okay, now that is going to be my top edge right there. Perfect. Okay, now I'm going to come down here and do the same thing along this edge. I'm going to go to the farthest point out because this is an edge that I've cut from putting a doll on the edge, one of my girls on the edge. So I'm going to measure to the farthest point out, and this is an edge that I can change later if it's too long, but I don't want it too short. Okay, so that is my piece of fabric with a pocket that I'm going to use as a background. I've got my lovely frayed edges. Okay, and it fits in there nicely. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to Mod Podge this down to the page. And when I Mod Podge material that has a pocket down to a page, I like to slip a piece of plastic into the pocket, just like from old packaging or whatever, and I keep this piece just for that. There's for things wide, here's for things narrow, and I slip that down into that pocket, unbutton it, and slip it down in before I glue it down. And then I leave it in there until my Mod Podge is dry. That way, if the Mod Podge seeps through the material, it's not going to fuse this pocket shut because I'm going to use that to put something in. So, first thing I'm going to do is put my Mod Podge down generously. I want it kind of nice and heavy for this because it's going to be holding material. And I'm going to go just across this whole thing, putting a nice thick layer of Mod Podge. I need to put some underneath this because it's loose. Okay. And I want this to stick down really well and really nice and flat. So get my nice thick layer of Mod Podge on here. Go over that doll edge that's sticking out. Okay. Try to get it as even as possible, but a nice thick layer. Okay, now I'm going to take my material and I'm going to start in the edge, making sure that it's lined up between the top and the bottom so that I've got it in the right spot. And I'm going to start smoothing that out, and I kind of tug and pull on that material to get it nice and smooth, nice and flat, because I want it to look nice, not rumpled, not wrinkled. I want it to lay really nice. So kind of pull it, tug it, and press it down. And I just kind of keep working it a little bit. and get it nice and stuck down. See, I can feel that Mod Podge coming through that material, so that's why I've got that plastic in there to protect it. Okay, and it's tipped up a little, which is good because I don't want it to ruin my my image or my page that's before it. So now I'm just going to leave that and just give it a rest and let it totally air dry to the page. And there's my first step. And these are just ideas that I have. If you don't like the idea and you don't want to use it in your book, that's fine. It's just to give you some inspiration, some things that I've come up with, things that I want to play around with and try. So you can try them too, or you can just watch and see if it gives you maybe an inspiration or idea to put something else down. You use material as a background if you've never done that before. It's kind of fun to Mod Podge material down to paper. And so, you know, just take it and use it as an inspiration. My page is dry, and so I'm going to remove my plastic. And now I've got my pocket to put something in, and it didn't get glued down. I love the way it dried nice and smooth. It looks great. And on this side, where this extra material is, I'm going to trim it about 1/4 of an inch away from where the girl's edge is. Okay, I'm using some really sharp scissors, and I'm just going to cut this along this edge, the shape of the girl's silhouette from the previous page. And it does not have to be perfect, because what I'm going to do is fray it. And by doing that, I'm just going to pull out some of those. Let me zero in here closer. I'm going to just pull out with my fingers the strings to make that edge frayed. I love that frayed look. And it'll look cool and interesting from either side. So just pulling on those little strings, and I'm going to even leave those black strings hanging because I love it. I love that look. Okay, it's cute on this side. Zoom out now. It's cute on this side, and it's frayed on this side. Okay, and now on this side, what I'm going to image, I've got this fabulous magazine image, and it is from a book about collections of different things. And in it, it talks about the Boston Sunday Herald in 1895 had a paper doll. They ran a story, and they included paper dolls in the Boston Herald that you could cut out and make into paper dolls. So what I'm going to do before I glue this down to my page and make it a permanent fixture of my book is I'm going to scan it and keep a copy, because I might want to use it in something else. It's just so cool and unique. And then what I'm going to do is take the information down here, the text that talks about the date and it being out of the Boston Herald, and paper dolls that you could cut out and play with. I'm going to make that into a tag and do some other fun tags to put in this pocket on this side. So first thing I'm going to do is scan this image, and then I'm going to go ahead and get ready to adhere it down to this page. And what I'm going to do for that, when it's a solid piece of paper, whether it's scrapbook paper or anything like that, if I'm not tearing it in pieces and Mod Podge and collaging it, and it's a solid piece like this, and especially something like this that's kind of smooth, what I like to do is use a spray adhesive. And so I'll turn this over and put spray adhesive on it after I cut it to size, and then I'll put it in the book and smooth it down, and then the spray adhesive will stick it down really nice. If I try Mod Podge on this, what it'll do is it'll end up ruffling and wrinkling, and I don't want wrinkles in my page. Okay, I have sprayed the back of this with some Elmer's multi-purpose spray adhesive. You want to do this in a ventilated area, but you just shake it and spray an even coat. And now I'm gonna just kind of line that up in the crease as close as I can get, but it doesn't have to be right to the crease because it'll make your book page open and close easier if it's not right in the crease, just a little ways out. And then I'm gonna just smooth it down. And the nice part about that spray adhesive is it's super sticky. It adheres a magazine page super easily, and you don't have any buckling of your page. So I've adhered my page down. So the next thing I'm going to add to this page, my pocket page, is I am going to Mod Podge an image down. So I've cut out a girl from one of my fronts of my vintage sewing patterns, and just a suggestion, I always scan my sewing patterns and save them in a file in case I want to use that image on something else, because it's just such a cool old image. So I do keep them, and that way I can have them to print it on cardstock and use it over again. So I'm going to Mod Podge this right down to the material. You can Mod Podge onto material. I would have done a transfer, but this black material is a little bit too dark for a transfer to show up. So instead, I'm just going to Mod Podge her right down to the page. And you kind of have to use a lot of Mod Podge to get it to stick down. Oops, I went a little far with my Mod Podge there. But it works just fine. It works on cloth just fine, and it'll hold just fine when it dries. And it's kind of an interesting look and feel on top of the material. So I'm going to go over the top of it with a nice generous layer. And there it is. So now I've still got my pocket to put stuff in, and then a girl alongside the pocket. I love that. The book's coming along, and it's been fun. I hope you guys are having fun playing along. And hey, leave in the comments below where you're from. If you're making one of these books and you're doing this project along with me, just put a little message down there and let us know where you are located, you know, where you're from, and that you are enjoying playing along in this Paper Dolls altered book. And to go in the pocket, I'm making a tag out of another pattern, images from a pattern. And what I did was Mod Podge it down to a piece of cardboard, and it was from packaging from something. And then I glued on some of these little EK Success flowers at the bottom. There were the numbers for the pattern images of 1 and 2, and so I covered them up with flowers. And then I just used a little pen to make the little stems on the flowers. And now I'm going to use my crocodile, and I'm going to punch a hole in the top and set an eyelet and tie a tie to it for my tag. I used a flower eyelet and this skinny ribbon with white polka dots on it. So there is my cute tag with the girls on it. I am going to take a pen and go around this edge. I do like to make my edges not white, so I'm going to take a black pen and go around that edge. But this is going to go in my pocket here on this page, and then I have some more things that are going to go in the pocket as well. I have a water brush that I filled with black ink, and I always use this for going around the edges of things that I've cut out. So I just take this and use this ink in the water brush along the edges, and it just makes that edge not white, and it just finishes it off, so it just looks a lot nicer on the front side. Okay, I want to show you the other cute things that I found to stick in my pocket here. Actually, I think this might be too wide. That won't be. I'll have to trim it down a little bit. But anyway, these are really kind of fun. The library had a book sale for damaged books, and they were super cheap. And there was a book about collectibles, and in it had a section about paper dolls. So since the binding of the book was falling apart, I bought the book because I thought these paper doll things would be interesting to put into my Paper Dolls book. This says, the back and front printing on the figure plus clothes that slip over the head give a three-dimensional feeling to this 1894 doll. A premium packaged in a bag of coffee. Many were made, but the example above is so fragile and small, it's only 3.5 inches, that few have survived. And this is kind of cool. It shows on the back of a coffee package in 1894, this cute paper doll image. You cut that out and fold it in half, and it would make the girl front and back, and then you'd cut these out and cut the holes out, and you'd slip the outfit over her head. So I thought that was kind of interesting and nifty for a very, very old idea for paper dolls. And then this one, the famous cereal company's Dolly from Battle Creek, which was tucked into breakfast food packages during the 1920s, came with cutouts plugged in a variety of the firm's products. The reverse side of the cereal panel contains advertising copy aimed at parents. And then there's a Kellogg's Rice Krispies doll, and she's got her little tabs for different hats. There's 3 different hats to put on her, and let's see, that is a can of coffee, a box of bran flakes, and then there's wheat crumbles, Kellogg's all brand corn flakes, shredded biscuits, and they're on, like, the doll is holding them on the little dresses that you would put on the doll. So that would have been in the 1920s. So what I did was just cut out the images, put them onto a piece of cardstock, use some blue distress ink to go around the edges, and I'm going to slip that into this pocket here. And I'm going to trim this down as well and make it fit into the pocket. But those things are going to go on this page where these vintage paper dolls are from that same book. And then my sewing machine pattern one that I made, and my girl that I put on this page. Okay, this is done. It's completed. I've got my cool image over here from a magazine. I took this image and I folded it tri-fold, because you can still unfold it and read the information off the card. And then this one I folded this way, so you can fold it down and then still stick it in the pocket. So I've got my 3 items in the pocket, and then to my buttonhole, I've tied with embroidery floss a charm of a button and a leaf and a key hanging from the buttonhole. So there is my next page in our book, and I hope you're having fun and playing along and creating something awesome in your Paper Dolls Altered book.